in the tradition of Friday the 13th, Part 2. And Oklahoma comes the first intelligent film about cannibalism.
What the hell kind of language is this?
I don't know, just keep laughing.
When I was on top of you,
All the guys I just got to know.
I'm shatterproof. There's nothing you can show me. I'm still standing tall, so you all can blow me. Know what I'm saying? It's true. After what I've been through.
Okay, well, a couple of reviews back when we were talking about Phantom of the Opera, we were talking about a lavish production, a movie that had millions and millions of dollars to which to tell this very popular and celebrated stage piece. So what we're at here is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. This is a movie that probably cost as much as your first car to make. And it's telling the true story of Alfred Packer, first person who was ever convicted of cannibalism in the United States, told as a piece of musical theater. Although that's not even true, because to me this is actually a love story between a man and his horse. But it's got layers to it. The other thing that is going to be obvious to anybody who watches this film was made in 1992 by Trey Parker and with help from Matt Stone. And
much like South Park.
They were in university. They were students, and they were making this movie with their friends, with the means they had at hand. And it's amateurish, and it's obviously amateurish. So what this movie doesn't have in production value, it has in ambition, and for lack of a better word, pure balls. This to undertake such a project and to imagine that it would somehow find an audience, amazing. Is it 100% successful? Does it have me rolling in the floor in gales of laughter? Does it reach the heights of South Park or Team America or the Book of Mormon, which this team would subsequently be responsible? Hell no. But you can see the seeds of genius in it. And because of how much they're trying to do with so little, I can't help but at least have a bit of a soft spot for Cannibal the musical.
You root for it when you realize where it came from.
Indeed.
And you root for it when you see what became of its creators. And when you realize that it was just them doing this, you realize that they're geniuses. Specifically Trey Parker, I believe, is the genius.
The real brains behind it, yeah.
Because he directed, wrote,
and
stars in, sings in, edited, pretty much did everything with this movie. And it's actually kind of depressing for us here in, another backwater province far away to see, okay, so this is what you need in order to break out of your, break out of the backwater and, get under the limelight, is you need to be able to do all this shit. I guess we're kind of fucked, aren't we, Larry?
But the lack of compromise in vision. Because with a project like this, there will be a million voices telling you not to do it. The loudest probably coming from your own head, and again, we're talking about how much we respect the fact that they stug it out and made the movie. This was released by Troma, this label of cult films that I assume most people have heard of, that specialized in no-budget movies trying to make a quick return on VHS. And to me, because I'd been burned so many times, Troma was basically a stamp of shitty quality. And this movie coming out of the Troma, and it's arguably one of their best films ever that the Troma produced. Another one.
Troma did not produce this.
Well, they distributed it. Yes. They didn't produce it. Some talents have emerged from Troma, but for the most part, it's a pretty scuzzy outfit making pretty scuzzy movies. So I was blindsided in a quality-ish film coming out of Troma. But
indeed, the first time that I rented this movie back in the 90s,
yeah.
I rented it and started watching it, flipped the box over and saw it was from Troma. Saw the first few scenes and decided I couldn't handle it because it was Troma. I like my bad movies not intentionally done.
Correct. Because then that's their bread and butter. They're so cheaply made, and you can see the seams so obviously, but they never really try to make a real movie, quote unquote. They're always trauma movies.
So if this is your problem, ignore the trauma label.
Yeah.
It was created without trauma even knowing about it.
But I don't want to sugarcoat it either, because the production values are shockingly low. Compared to what people are used to seeing nowadays, this movie looks like it was shot with a VHS camcorder. And some of the performances are uncomfortable. Like, the actors seem uncomfortable on camera. There are problems, and I'm not going to pretend that there aren't.
Everything is on location, mainly because they couldn't
Afford
anything else, yes. And there's definite problems with the sound editing as well.
Yes.
It has a hissing in the background pretty much all the time. The music quality, well, it's all synthesizer, obviously. And
the songs are strong. The music is not.
Yes. The songs are brilliant in their own way.
Yeah. And to that level. And I think brilliant in your own way is actually, I think J. Adrian Cook nailed it just there, because that's the way I feel about this movie. It's not amazing, but in its own way, it's kind of brilliant. And some evidence to that fact. One of the first big numbers is the Spradoinical Day. Spradoinical Day. When he was writing the song originally, he painted himself into a corner, and he didn't know where to put there, so he wrote Spradoinical. And at the end of the day, he just said fuck it and went with it, because he had that much trust in himself. Oh. Fact. I wrote this down when I found the stuff. Nihonjin, which is what the Indians they encounter are called. They're Nihonjin Indians.
Yes.
In Japanese means Japanese people. And they're all played
by
Japanese
film
people.
students. Yes.
The court transcripts, the dialogue in the court, as stilted as they are performed, transcript from the actual case up to the point that a woman threw an apple at him.
Get out.
Absolutely true.
That's amazing.
So, was there one? I think those were the big ones anyway. The fact is that it's smart and funny when you don't even know it's being smart and funny.
Well, when the smartness comes, it really just it's really unexpected. Like when the trappers and the miners are in the middle of a musical number and it stops and they start having an argument about key signatures.
And still, yes. I don't speak the language of music, but that was still hilarious.
Yes. What key was he singing in there? Wait, you're not getting into modes, are you?
Yeah. And they all stop to discuss the number before they proceed. Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. And just some of the songs in themselves, I really got a kick out of the Let's Build a Snowman number. Playing the happiest song and playing it against the dreariest backdrops. It worked well enough for me. And like I said, the movie largely plot-wise, which we haven't really discussed.
Yeah, well, we'll just run over it here. But yeah, finish your sentence. Yeah.
To me, it largely concerns his relationship with his horse. For some reason, his horse dubs him unworthy and abandons him at some point, and it crushes his spirit. And really, it's not so much a journey telling the life story of this cannibal as it is the journey of him learning that he is worthy of the horse, but he can choose what horse he wants to be.
He doesn't need the horse to be happy.
He doesn't need his horse to be happy. This is the internal journey that is happening. You know what I kept on saying about this being quietly brilliant?
Indeed.
Anyway, yes, please, indulge us with the plot.
Let's leave out the story with Leanne the horse, which we've already discussed. Basically, it's just a bunch of miners go into the mountains and starve to death.
Pretty
but
much.
The journey along is pretty funny.
We know that our main character is on trial for the murdering and eating them, and the entire film is basically his testimony as to the events of what happened.
Indeed. Now, my favorite moment of this, the moment of absolute brilliance, has to be in the mountains when Alfred Packer, his main character, has come back from a reconnaissance mission to discover one of his crew has killed and eaten his friends. They get in a fight and he shoots the guy, and then in true movie serial killer style, the guy keeps getting up and attacking him again, and he gets shot, and cleaver goes in his face, something gets stabbed into his eye, and then
he will not die.
After the third time he goes down, Packer starts singing, and then the song is interrupted when the guy gets up and attacks him again. He kills him again. Then he starts singing. He gets a fair ways into the song. The camera's kind of panned away, and the music just stops. And he's looking out on this panorama with this look on his face. There's no dialogue. It's just beautiful. The look on his face says, "Oh God, he's standing behind me again." They fight again.
Yeah, I also like the casualness, and again, it's a performance thing that involves a lot of confidence. And in this, when they're just university students making this film, it's really hard to pull off. But when they are eating the human flesh, but being super casual about it, just chomping away on it and having an incidental conversation in spite of the context, it kind of trusts the audience to just sort of see the humor instead of you going, huh?
Exactly.
And they had that confidence right out of the gate. There are things that work against the movie too. Like I said, I mean, we're selling all the high points. I do think we do have to acknowledge that there are some valleys to it. There are things. I think that the love interest, the female love interest, not the horse. Horse was gold.
Yes.
That thread of the story didn't work as much, and I didn't invest because of the spectacular scale of the stupidity of the movie. I couldn't invest deeply enough to care in the fate of Mr. Packer,
Yeah.
And the music, like you said, was synthy, but I think that synthy doesn't even 100% say it. Like, it edges on annoying.
It's almost Casio quality.
Yeah.
Not there.
And it's not just in the songs, it scores the whole film. It's done throughout it. And it sort of advertises the handmade quality of it, and I'm sure it just was a reflection of the budget, but it does hurt the enjoyment.
I would love to see what could have been done if this musical was given Phantom of the Opera's budget, or even just a quarter of that budget. And actually, from what I understand, there were stage productions of this.
And there continue to be. It had its UK debut on stage in 2004, I believe. But a lot of independent theatre productions have been put up of this. I mean, in its own way, it has its cult standing, and it is an interesting footnote to see where the brilliant creative team, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I keep saying it wrong, where they sort of started from. It's worth checking out for all of those reasons, but I don't want to oversell it. It is definitely a micro-budget movie, and it looks like it, and it sounds like it. So.
You can see the genius there. The genius is hampered by its budget, but it's not repressed. Yeah. It's still there for everyone to see.